today I'm back working on the Golf GTI. So since the last video, I think so far the couple things I have done to it, it's first of all the Unitronic 1+ stage ship, which I did using the Uniconnect cable. Pretty happy so far with it. So in addition to that, I also got, or actually bought the downpipe for the turbo, the 3 inches one. I haven't installed the downpipe yet, I just got it a couple of days ago. I bought the side skirts, I think they're like similar to the R32 style, and I painted them and installed them, and I'm like super happy with it. Like, that's one of the best modifications I've done so far. I think it just helped with this boxy look of the GTI and kind of like give it that I don't know, I just like it. I think the R32 is a pretty appealing car to me, so going the route of adding those bits and pieces that will make it look like an R32 sounds like a good idea to me, especially since those are kind of like OEM type of like additions that you can do to your car, and they look like, you know, pretty awesome. So anyhow, so I ended up buying, I was gonna buy the rear roof spoiler. Actually I bought it, but I was gonna buy it from eBay, and somehow I didn't get it because they ran out. So I ended up buying it from ECS Tuning, and I bought the R32 style. So the one they sell comes already primed. So I think it's, you know, pretty straightforward as opposed to the side skirts where they come raw fiberglass, and you have to really put on the work and to make them, you know, as seamless and like super flat surface, and so there's a lot of steps involved when you get a part like that. So since it's already primed, I think it's like pretty easy. So today is Friday night, so what I wanted to do is just to paint it, and I was hoping for it not to be a super cold day, and it's actually pretty decent outside. I think it's in the 60s or 70s right now, so it's perfect for it. So what I'm going to do is just to get the part ready, paint it, and then I'm just going to leave it tonight just like drying overnight, and then tomorrow I'm just going to be installing it. And the installation should be like pretty straightforward. It's going to be just using the 3M tape, but I'm going to be adding additional tape, and I'm not only using the one that comes from the ECS Tuning kit. I'm not saying it's bad, but I really want to be cautious. I used to have one of these spoilers in the past. I was not the one who installed it, but I don't know. I think after a couple of years, one time it just came loose. So I'm just going to be safe and add additional tape to it, and I might even go the extra mile. I'm not sure if it's important or necessary or not, but I'm just going to go the extra mile, and I'm just going to go ahead and add maybe some additional silicone just to make sure that it's going to be completely sealed and, like, you know, really on the surface and with the car on the tail. So what I'm going to do now is just to show you what I have and what I'm going to be using to paint. So this is not an advertisement for these people, but really I've been using them for a couple of years now. A couple of the cars that I've been painting, and then just, you know, getting into modifications and stuff, and this is like really great stuff. So I always buy like this Automotive touch up. So I have never had any issues with the paints actually matching to the OEM colors, so I'm just gonna keep using them. And if you need like specific base coats in order to get to the appropriate colors, or you need sparkles, whatever, they have it. So I mean, as you can tell, I mean, this is you know, pretty pricey. This is not your normal, you go to O'Reilly's or AutoZone and get a paint. So this is actually made to match the base color of your car. So this will run you about, I think it's almost like $20 for each, but hey, it's quality paint. So I'm in the process of learning how to paint with a HPLV gun. So for now, so I'm still practicing, and probably the next time, as opposed to buying the spray paint or the rattle can, I'm just gonna go ahead and buy the paint And then that way I can just start spraying my stuff, you know, with my compressor, and it's a matter of time just before I start painting my own stuff and not using rattle cans anymore. But nothing against them. I mean, they come out like super nice. If you want the OEM look, you really need to do this paint. You need to use a appropriate primer, which I'm not gonna do today because I have the spoiler, it's already primed, and I'm gonna show it in a second. But then this is the second part that I will recommend people to get. This is a urethane based clear, which is a two-part clear. So very similar to the when you go ahead and buy paint and you have to prep it. Normally you will be mixing two parts, which one's gonna be hardener and the second one is gonna be the actual clear. So this is not your normal Rust-Oleum primer, which is, I'm sorry, clear, which is only a one part. This is a two part, and the benefit of it is the finish. So you will be getting a really durable and very strong clear, and this is the one I'm using. So I'll show more specific the steps to use it. I know there's a lot of videos out there you can watch, and there's instructions on how to use it and whatever, but good stuff. So I'm actually gonna post a picture of my side skirts, which I just did with this clear, and I mean the finish, it's unbelievable. So some of the stuff that I use is, first of all, you need to have the spoiler, which this is the one I just bought from ECS Tuning. This is just your R32 style, so very similar to the one that comes factory in the R32s. I mean, you're pretty similar to that one, and you're probably pretty familiar with it. And then I'm also using the Automotive. Oh, there you go, touch up. This is the prep solvent. So what you do, this is just so you can clean the part and like remove any grease or stains that I have put on the part, just because I'm touching or whatever. As you can probably see here, you can see a spot. That spot is just from my hand. That's just the oils from my fingers. So this is something that's gonna help you with that. And this is very nice and important, just so you make sure that you get the best adhesion from your paint. So because you're using this is something that you need to have. So you need to have proper mask, so you're not breathing urethane. That's not something that you want to breathe. And then for in between your base coat coats, you want to use a tack cloth. And what this is gonna do is just to clean your part and remove any particles that have been introduced in when your part is like drying between coats. So this is not to be used with clear, but just when in between coats, when the part is dry and ready for the next coat. So, and I'm gonna be showing that. So what I'm gonna do now is just to put this on a level surface. I'm just gonna go ahead and prep it with cleaner. I'm just gonna show it on the bottom so you can see how it is. I hate to cut corners, but I am really thinking about maybe not even spending paint or wasting paint just to painting the bottom of the spoiler. I know people can say, oh my God, why are you gonna leave it like that? But honestly, that will be just like wasting a lot of paint on it. And when you put it on the car, I just did a test fit, and this section right here, which I'm like touching with my finger, it's like, this is all like facing down, right? And then this is the only section that you can that's visible from the back. So I'm honestly gonna make sure that that part's painted, as well, of course, at the top part. But I'm not sure if I'm gonna be like really spending a lot of material on painting on the bottom. So people can differ from what I do. You are free to do whatever you want to do. So that's gonna be my style, and I'm just gonna make sure that all the edges and in the back portion that you can actually see from the outside, or from underneath it, it's painted. But I'm honestly just gonna focus for the most part in the top section, just to make sure that we get an even surface and an even coat, and that looks good and matches the paint. That's it. So we're probably gonna be doing about 3 coats. So I'm just gonna go ahead and prep the part, and I'll take you guys with me through the journey. mentioned before, I'm going to be painting just the bottom, not just the bottom, sorry, like the top and like all the sides and whatever, and I'm just going to focus on this area where I know that can be seen from the underneath it or from a car behind it. But probably I'm not just going to be spending paint on this area that's just going to be touching the surface of the tail of the car. So what I'll do is, first of all, I put it on a surface that's going to give me access to all the areas where I want paint to really get on the part. But what I'm doing right now is just, first of all, I cover my bucket. It's not important, but I don't want my bucket getting all painted. I don't have proper stations for paint stuff or whatever. So I'm just gonna do this just to be cautious. This is not like super important. It's not a step that you have to do. Just maybe be cautious, just in case. What I do want to do, and if you use clear paper like this, close to the areas where you're gonna be painting, I'm gonna be adding some paper. Not some paper, like some blue tape or whatever tape, doesn't matter. Closer to the area where the bucket and the plastic is almost like at the area where I do want paint from this side of the spoiler, just so I make sure that the plastic is not going to be covering or impeding the paint to really get in the part. So I'm just putting some tape here. Actually, I'm just going to put it here. And I'm just going to put some tape, and I'll show you. Just going to put some tape here. That way I know that I'm going to get the coverage I want, and this plastic is not going to be in the way. I'm just going to put the part here. Perfect. Sweet. That sounds good. Alright, so this is what I'm talking about. So I just want to add some tape here to avoid any like bubbling or whatever happening from this plastic. Just so I make sure that I can get to these areas instead of just going over it and not being able to do it because this is interfering between the path of the spray and the part. So that's it. Okay. So this is, a look at the spoiler. This is how it looks. Pretty decent, pretty flat and pretty even for the most part. Okay. So now I'm ready to put some of the solvent, the solvent I was telling you about. Let me see if I can get it to focus. Maybe 1 second. Okay, this is the Automotive Touch, the prep solvent. So I'm just gonna go ahead and throughout all the parts. This is like super effective and not almost, but and also cheap. But I really want to be generous, and I want to make sure that I make sure that my part's gonna be completely covered in this. So now I'm gonna put it down. I'm gonna use some clean shop towel. This shop towel is actually lint free, and this is exactly what you want. So you want something that you're not gonna be leaving traces behind, nor how do you call it? Nor any fabric or stuff that can come out from any any normal everyday rag. I'll be honest, this is the first time I'm going to be painting over a prime surface where I have not been the one priming the part. So the reason why I'm saying that is because maybe you're asking yourself, what type of prime did they use? Because like for example, some of these urethane paints, they don't stick so well in different parts. So so you really have to be cautious when you buy, like for example, if you go to AutoZone, you have to make sure that you use the proper primer, just so you know that's gonna stick, that your urethane is gonna stick to the surface, and you're using the right stuff, and you're just using whatever that's meant to be used with a different material, and then you're gonna end up with having paint that's bubbling up or whatever. So I'm taking a chance, and I'm just trusting that this surface was used with a primer that's going to be conducive to my paint, you know, sticking or whatever. So I'm just going to wait and see what happens. It's a small surface, so if I have problems in the future, I can just prep it again and do it. So I'm just taking the chances and just practicing with this one. Alright, so now I just took the cap off the base coat. I'm not sure if you can tell, but it says base coat VW2A. What's inside this can is the, I think it's called the silver reflex or metallic silver reflex or whatever. My GTI, it's an 05, and it's not the silver metallic, it's the darker gray. I think it's like very similar to this color. So anyway, so I'm just gonna start shaking this one, and I'm just gonna shake it for about a minute. What I'll do is make sure that the ball that's on the inside like goes around a couple times, and then I'm just gonna shake it this direction and this direction, or I guess this orientation, and you can do it whatever you want. I'm just gonna, you know, hit it for a minute, and then I'll be ready to start. This is not necessarily a video on how to paint, but if I can share some of the inside or some of the technique that I use, I'll be happy to. So I found out when I painted the side skirts with this same paint that 3 coats with a similar shade of primer was enough to get full coverage, and it matched the paint, the OEM paint, like perfectly. So that's probably what I'm aiming for. And so the first one is going to be the one that's, for the most part, is going to be creating that adhesion. So it's going to be pretty light, and I'm going to be moving pretty fast because I don't want to leave a super thick coat on the part. So that's one thing. And then the second one is that I really want coverage in all the part, and then I'll be waiting probably about 10 minutes. I'm going to tack it with the tack cloth to remove anything that probably just got on it, or maybe even paint that was not necessarily like sticking to the part. I'm just gonna remove that and then paint again. So I'm gonna be repeating that 3 times, and then I'm just gonna leave it for 10-15 minutes, and then I'm just gonna start with the clear, with the paint, the base coat as well as the clear. I'm gonna be probably waiting, not waiting, but the 3rd coat or the last one is gonna be thicker, and I'm just gonna be moving slowly. And as opposed to some of the other rattle cans you can get on the hardware store, this one you can probably try to find a way that you can mimic the stroke with a HLPV gun, or a gun like used with a compressor. So you can probably just go and leave the trigger like down, pushed, and like relieving a bunch of like paint at once, and then just controlling how much you're putting on the part by like slowing down the motion of your hand. So that's kind of the technique that I use. So now I'm just gonna shake it and go ahead and go and get the first part. I'm good. So now I always like to get like lay down some paint, maybe on this box, just so the first time you press the trigger, there's chances that might like air come out, like pressurized air come out, and not necessarily the amount of paint that you're expecting. So maybe what's gonna do is it's just gonna create a bunch of like drips, or you'll see paint like darker, or that type of thing. So you don't want that. So the first time you're going to be spraying, do it in the surface like this, which is also going to give you the opportunity to inspect the paint and make sure that that's the paint you were expecting to come out of this, as opposed to laying down a coat of paint from a color that was not the one you were expecting. So that's one. Second, start pressing the trigger before you start like moving on the part or like coating the part. Why? Because if you start, if this is the part and I do this, you see how, I mean, there's a lot of like paint that went into that specific section, and what's gonna happen is you can see the line on the part. So you don't want that. So you wanna do that outside of the part, and then you start with your motion just laying down the paint, okay? So now I'm just gonna put my mask on. That was code number one. I'm gonna get the camera closer. I don't even know why I removed this because like the paint is in the air. But anyway, so make sure that you're in a well ventilated area, which I am in my garage. So I'm just gonna show you the part right now, and it's not completely covered. I think I actually went thicker than I thought I was gonna go, but paint is good. There's no drippings or anything, so I'm just gonna show it. And don't judge by what you're seeing right now, because like it's barely painted, and it's kind of hard to really see the difference between what we started with and what we have right now, because the primer was actually pretty it was, I don't want to say it was similar, but I guess pretty similar to the paint we're actually using. So now I'm just gonna wait 10-15 minutes and come back again, tack it, and paint it again. Code number 2. Alright, so now this is 10-15 minutes later, so I'm just gonna touch it and it's completely dry. This is the time where we want to use the Tack Cloth. So I'm gonna turn it because I used this one before. One thing you will notice when you use a good paint versus, I mean, I'm not saying Rust-Oleum or Duplicolor or whatever, those are bad paints. I've done a bunch of like paint jobs with those type of colors and they work great. I mean, it's about preparation, it's about whether or not you do wet sanding or whatever in the end, but if I was using one of those paints, and I'll be using the amount of material that I was just laying down on this spoiler, I will most likely have a bunch of like run-ons, or you'll see a bunch of like areas where the paint was like so thick that starts like dripping. So that's the difference between this one. This one has a pretty nice coverage, but the way it goes down and it goes to the paint, you can tell that's, you know, quality product. And it goes down in a way where it's very, it has good coverage, but it feels like thin. So it doesn't feel like it's building up like a lot. So super nice. So I'm just gonna show you how it's looking. So far so good. I mean, it's kind of tricky with the light, but I'm not sure if you can see it, but so far so good. I mean, I think it's coming out pretty nice. You can see the reflection. So yeah, it looks pretty good. Now this is code number 3. I'm gonna tack it with the Tack Cloth, and I'm just gonna do the 3rd coat, and we should be done with base coat. I know you're probably thinking that was a lot of paint. And you know what? That was a lot of paint. So, like I said again, that's one of the benefits of using good paint. I'm gonna show it to you, and you're not gonna be able to see any run-ins, which is, you know, paint dripping or anything. So you'll see, you know, pretty even surface. Something that I haven't covered. You see, it looks pretty good. Of course, it's wet, so in a couple minutes it's gonna be completely, you know, I know it's kind of hard to appreciate, but you know, it's gonna be completely dark, or not dark, but matte. But this is the final part. So the clear, it's a 2K, like I mentioned before, which means two parts. So there's clear material inside plus a hardener that you enable when you pop this side on the bottom. So you will be painting the normal way, but after you mix it for about a minute, then you're going to take this that's on the cap of the rattle can, and you're gonna place it here, and then you can press against the floor, and that's gonna pop inside, and that's gonna allow the hardener to mix with the clear. So that's one thing. So then the important thing is this thing, I think it has a place where you can put the date when you actually allow the two parts to mix. The reason why is because I don't think you can use it past, I think it's like 36 hours or something like that, 48 hours. So once it's activated, there's only 2 days, and after that, you can throw it away because you're not going to be able to use it, because the hardener is going to cause the paint to harden, so there's not going to be able to come out of the spray. So I'm just going to shake it for a minute, and then I'm just going to pop it, shake it again, and then I'll start painting. So first, I'm just going to tack the part for the last time. So I'm just... And for this, just so you know, in between coats, I'm actually opening the door of my garage, and I'm actually turning on a fan to allow all the material that is, you know, in the air just to, you know, get out. So I can have, so make sure that you have a good ventilation. And so I'm just gonna do this right now. I'm going to do two things. One is I'm going to use some of this additional 3M tape just to reinforce the tape that comes with the kit. So I'm going to do that. And then this is very specific to my application. And what I mean by that is I'm going to install the spoiler on the rear wing, but I have plastered my roof before, including the tailgate. So what I'm doing right now is to removing some of the plastic where my sunroof is gonna be on top of, like, of this surface in here. So I'm just removing it. So this is not gonna be like typical or something that everybody's gonna be doing, because like not everybody's gonna have their roof plasticked, but in my case I do. So I'm gonna show you what I'm doing. So what I'm doing is I put the spoiler on top of the tailgate, and I use an X-Acto knife to trace a line for the area that's gonna be covered by the spoiler. So by doing that, that's allowing me to start like peeling off the plastic dip, and I'm just gonna remove this area. The reason why I'm doing that is just so I have good contact on this area, because I'm going to be reinforcing the spoiler with additional 3M tape, and that tape is going to be probably in this area right here, and I didn't want the tape sticking to the plastic dip surface. Yep. So now I'm just going to continue to peel this off. You see how, you know, easy comes off when you do, you know, multiple multiple coats. This is like 5 coats, so that's why it's coming off so easy. So I'm just keeping an eye on this section here, just to ensure that it's not gonna get. Let me make sure that's gonna. Okay, so I just removed the plastic dip. So as you can tell, I haven't cleaned the area. What I'm going to do is now I'm just going to place it in place, put it in place, I'm sorry. Just to ensure that, perfect, it looks good on this side. And making sure that all the areas where it's going to be making contact are actually clean. Clean meaning no plastic dip or anything. So it's going to be stuck to the metal as opposed to on top of a plastic dip surface. Okay, so it looks good. So now, second thing I'm going to do, and this will give you an idea of how it's going to look like. Alright, so I'm ready to install it. As you can tell, I have reinforced the whole spoiler underneath it with new 3M tape. The one before, I think it was like 3M as well, but it was a very thin line, and I just felt like it makes me feel better if I can add some additional to it. So yeah, that's what I did. So now I'm just gonna peel it off, and I was just checking just to make sure that there's, you know, good adhesion. And last thing I was gonna do is, you see the blue tape? There's also blue tape in here because I'm trying to make sure that I have a point of reference when I'm lining this up, just so I know where do I have to land, and I know that at that point it's gonna be you know, center. It's gonna be center, and it's gonna be where I want it. And yep, seems like the lines are perfectly aligned. So I'm just gonna go ahead and start by removing all the tape. This shouldn't be nerve-wracking, but somehow I'm nervous. Alright, so I'm done. I'm just gonna use this reference point. Oh shoot, I forgot to prep the area, so just gonna do it quickly. You know the drill. Okay. That was bad planning on my part. I guess I was excited. And then you drop the bottle. That's very important. If you don't do it like that, it's gonna be almost no adhesion. Funny. Okay, good. Stick it in the antenna. I'm just kidding. So I'm gonna do it like this, just so I can start lining these both ends up. And I'm in the ballpark. Sticking already. I'm just gonna come from the bottom. They're aligned, and seems like we're good on this side. Also on this one. Okay. I didn't want to do that, but I did it. It was just not completely aligned on this side, but I just pulled it off. I do not think that I have to apply any tape, meaning blue tape that I was planning on. Whew. This is exhausting. But I'm gonna do it anyway. I don't think I can do more pressure, but just in case, I'm just gonna put some tape. To be honest, I don't think this step is necessary, but makes me feel good. That's all that matters. Just in case. The next step is really not necessary. but I'm gonna do it anyway. This is how hard it is right now. What I'm gonna do is use my heat gun, and this is just so I can apply some heat. Maybe it's not a good idea just to put tape just now, because I don't want to apply hot air to the blue tape. But it's all good. So it is not super cold in Arizona right now. I think it's like, this is like what, February? Oh, March already. My God, I'm crazy. So what I want to do is just heat it up to make sure the tape is just gonna get like softer, and it's gonna create a reaction where it's gonna stick better. Instruction from 3M that doesn't say anywhere, yeah, you apply heat with the heat gun, whatever. No, it doesn't. But always when I did the same thing with my side skirts, and I'm not saying I was successful because I did it, but I know that it brings some sort of like softness to it, and it's just something that makes me feel better. So that's all that matters. So cool. So I'm just gonna super hard. All right, so I'm done. I'm just gonna leave it for now. There's a bunch of like marks and stuff that I have to clean up like later. But it's all good. I'm just gonna I'll show it in a second. What I was trying to do is, I guess just as a summary, I painted it with the original paint. That part was already primered, so I used the primer. I painted it with the paint that I got from Automotive Touch Up. Then I used the 2K clear, which is the 2-part clear urethane, and then it was curing or drying for about 10 hours. I installed it, but I used 3M half-inch 3M tape, step 2, instead of the strip that comes with the kit. Makes me feel better. That's the one I use on my side skirts, which are longer and they're holding up super nice. As you can tell, just like almost no movement on the part right now, so I think it's like great. I used a point of reference to ensure that I was not just going to stick it and realize that it was all crooked or whatever. So I put the line, and I'm just going to leave it. I might be putting something heavy on top without creating any damage, of course, just so I can, just to ensure that this portion at the top is going to be really sticking and getting benefit of. So I guess that as a summary, that's it. Let me show you how it looks. First of all, I love the look. If you look from back, like this, boxy look of the GTIs, I really love, the side skirts and how they look. Those are the ones I got from OptiWorks. I think that's the name. So this is now with the sun. You can see how nice it matched the paint. Then you can see from the top, all that's gonna come off. That's some like silicone and stuff that I had. Oh shit, it looks, there's no enough light. But look from this side, you can see. And let me just try to move it. I'm really applying a lot of pressure and it's not coming off. So I'm just worried about this section here that it looks like it's moving. I'm not sure it's completely like settled, whatever. But you know what? I can always insert a strip between this area here, and it might bring more adhesion to the part. But I can probably do that later. But for now, it looks like pretty sturdy. It doesn't seem like it's gonna go anywhere. Overall, I like it. It wasn't pretty easy project. Sometimes I feel like I make things more difficult, but if you take the extra step to, or the extra, the time to do it well, you get, long lasting results, and that's all that matters. You really want to make sure that if you're making the investment, this is not just gonna last a weekend, and it's gonna really last a long time. I really, really like this. So next project will be to, I don't think I'm gonna be spending money on like replacing my bumpers for now. For the most part, pretty good shape. So what I'm gonna do is paint my balances using the same paint. Mounting on the car, I'm not even gonna take them off. I'm just gonna do it on in place. I'm probably gonna do the one at the front too. And after that, I'm gonna do both balances, and I might do the not the R32 bumper, but the lip in the front. I'm still trying to figure that out, because like my driveway is pretty steep. Not steep, but steep enough where when I'm reversing the car, it always rubs at the bottom. So I'm not sure if the lip is gonna be functional or not. So I'm just gonna give it a try. So pretty happy with this. Pretty good job from ECS Tuning as well. I think it's pretty decent, and the feedback is pretty nice. So I'm super happy with it. Thank you for watching.